the Fill the Funnel podcast with Jeff Swan
and Tom Slocum.
We're here to help you crush your targets
with tactical tips and insights you can act on today.
Don't have a fancy tech stack, a big budget, or even a huge team to lean on?
Well, it's time to get that solved today with FTF Fridays.
Hi, everyone. For today's episode of Fill the Funnel, we're going to be covering what it feels like to be in your prospect's shoes. What does it feel like to get that cold call, get that email, and what you can and how you can use that in order to make your prospecting efforts better. So with that said, Tom, you're a sales leader. You get prospected all the time. What does it feel like to be a prospect?
Oh, man. It's a good time, right? Sometimes you see these crazy messages come through and, unfortunately, we're a lot harder on people because we're in those roles. So when I get prospected, right, I'm always a little bit harder on the message. Even though had I never been in this world, I probably would have taken that meeting. But because I'm now in that world, it's like when you're, if you've ever been a server before at a restaurant, right? And then you go to a restaurant after the fact, you always critique the server. You're talking to your significant other like, oh, well, I would have never done that. Look at this guy taking 20 minutes to get my water, right? So you're a little bit harder on them. So for me, being prospected all the time, it's exhausting, but it's also fun because I get to just see so many things that are evolving in the world. And it also gives me fuel for my team because if I do see that good email that did get my attention, I spin it over to my team and allow them to build off of it, find something that could have worked in there or highlight why this person, why this email worked for me, so they can build off of that. But for me, it's just, I'm just a lot stricter. I'm a lot more, harder to get a hold of just because I have a little bit higher bar set when I get prospected than what most others might do.
Yeah. Well, it's funny you say that because I have to admit, like a casualty of my job as a sales sequence optimizer is I'm hypercritical of people's sequences. So their messaging, their approach, I'm counting the steps. Okay, it took him 3 days to wait between messages and all that. And I'm thinking like a scientist as opposed to an actual prospect. So it's been a long time since I've actually just been a prospect and just let it go, right? But we had a really cool conversation at Beyond Quota this week, and I don't know if you're familiar with Taylor Jones. She works at Salesforce, but Scott Barker, the moderator, asked us a question of like, tell us about a time that you had a great prospecting, a great prospect outbound sales to you. And Taylor told a really good story about a gentleman who approached her in such a way that made her feel like she was part of a study and she was part of like this crazy environment where she didn't even know she was being sold to until like the third, fourth touch. And I think she already even had a phone call with this guy. I can't remember, just watch the replay if you can. But what was really cool about it was that all of us we were all like RevOps, top of funnel, prospecting sales leaders. And to hear each of the five of us describe how it feels for us to be prospected. And when we were like so excited to get and each one of us, all five of us, all agreed that when we got that amazing prospecting effort, we rewarded it. We gave them the call. We gave them the meeting. We were like, high five, buddy, like, and we were so excited about it that we just had to let it go. And these are people that are hypercritical, right? But the bottom line for me is that when I was describing my side of the story or my story, it's really interesting when somebody is really exceptional at prospecting. You have a great time. You learn something. You're growing. You feel like you're doing something in your day better, and it's just so much. Absolutely. It's such a rewarding experience.
I just think people, being prospected or feeling what it's like on the other end is just a huge asset in somebody who's trying to fill their funnel. If you can storytell and put yourself in the shoes of what it's like to be your own prospect or look back in the history of the things you've purchased, even outside of the sales world, right? You went and bought a car, you bought a TV, you buy stuff all the time from people. Remember those, right? Like what is it that you're winning,
Yeah.
right? Or what's winning your attention, right? What's winning you to convert and make that deal, and then replicate that and find what that was when you're out there prospecting to people. Everybody's different. Everybody wants to be prospected different. Some expect you to be blowing up their email every 5 minutes because that's what they would do if they were being prospected. Others are like, I don't want to be pushy. But what I think a lot of people do more than anything is, what your prospect really wants is not what you think, right? And so you've got to get over that and stop allowing your own thinking from holding you back when you're prospecting. You need to focus on them, not you, right? Nobody's going to come, and don't wait for them to come begging for your services. You need to help them, show them the next steps. You need to do it now, right? Like, don't let those things be a roadblock to you or worry about, do what you need to do to prospect and put yourself in their shoes and make sure that your content has value and that what you're putting out there is something you would respond to. Listen, why are you writing an email or putting together something that as you're sitting there doing it, you're thinking, I want to get this, right? I don't know how many times I've emailed myself my email first, right? Not for the mobile friendliness or anything like that, but just to an hour later keep it in my inbox, and before I go to bed, I reread it again. Like I'm a brand new person and I refresh my email, right? And I look at it and I'm like, I don't like that. Or, oh man, that got my attention. I love that, So, that's what you got to do is you got to feel what's working and not hold yourself back from what you think your prospect wants, because you don't, they have different expectations than what you have.
Yeah, well, I love what you said about think about a time where you've bought something, because I remember way back, I was in university, I think. So, light years ago. I think there were dinosaurs around still. But anyways, I was at a mall at Christmas time, and they had these little kiosks, those little kiosks in the mall where they have like these cool gift ideas or whatever else. I remember this one kiosk. There was a guy who had a helicopter, like these kind of little cool helicopters. And I didn't want this. I didn't need it. I didn't even have extra money, but the guy was so good at selling me that I wanted to buy from him just to say like, high five, buddy. I love what you're doing. And I ended up even buying 2 helicopters. So I bought one for myself and one for my friend, because I was like, I just wanted to reward him. But the key thing that actually made me so excited about it is because if you think of that scene in Wolf of Wall Street where he says, sell me this pen. And then, he talks about like, okay, here's a contract, you got to sign it. I'll sell you this or whatever. Like this guy created a need for something that I didn't want, I didn't know about, I didn't care about, but he created a need for me, and he created this and made me think, and he encouraged me to talk about why I needed this as a present, why it would make a good present. And then as I'm convincing myself and I'm talking in my own words why I should buy this as a present for my brother or whatever, or friend, I can't remember. Then all of a sudden he convinced me, okay, well, why wouldn't you buy it for yourself then? And then I bought 2.
There you go. He put you in the shoes,
I was a Jedi.
Of what it would be like. And you were like, well, I would do this. And so then you were like, well, I need to buy this for him too.
Exactly. And people are listening to this thinking, well, what does that have to do with cold calling or cold emails or whatever? Well, I was walking down the mall talking to my girlfriend, and this guy stopped me. He stopped me out of nowhere, captured my attention, and then brought me in. So it's not too dissimilar from you sitting in your office, calling your home office and making those calls.
You need to tell a story. You need to, allow the prospect. Listen, we talked about it, I think, on a previous episode here, right? Is you got to put them in the scenario, right? Like you need to get them to envision themselves in the product, right? That's how you just realize as a prospect. Once he got you to visualize or say that thinking of, well, why would you get it for you though? Oh, well, I would do this and this and this. And then it puts together why you would get it to a friend, right? Is they put you in the scenario. And so when you're prospecting and you're reaching out to me when I'm being prospected, right? Allow me to visualize what this could solve for me and what that impact could be. Like tell that story of Tom. Listen, you're struggling in this area probably as a fellow sales leader. have you thought about how you could resolve that, or what it would look like if you had a tool to automate that for you? Right? Gets you thinking. And then your value prop comes in, right? Hey, our tool really allows you to see yourself and dive into a 10,000 foot aerial view of what you're seeing and automate it for you, blah, 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 blah. Is this something on your radar or something you can envision putting in your tech stack anytime soon? If so, can we grab 15, 20 minutes to chat a little bit more about it and find when that time would be most appropriate? I'm going to respond to that because you've allowed me to envision what it could be like. And it's all about relevancy. I just talked to this about, with a buddy of mine about how do you prospect to people and tell that story. And the number one success that everybody shares on LinkedIn when their emails work or any of that is, it's great. The aesthetics are beautiful, right? Write it up a great way, do all your things. But the reality is relevancy. That's the secret sauce. That is the secret sauce to all your scripting, your cadences, your messaging. We all say it. It's about timing, right? It's just timing, pure luck sometimes. No, it's relevancy. That's what's happening. Timing means relevancy. Yeah. And so when you're relevant,
timing is then
right. Already. That's the key to success and getting the attention of a prospect is being relevant. Just be relevant, dude. Don't email me about some stuff that means nothing for me, right? Like, I don't care. Yeah. Like, have you done any research, or that clearly shows me I'm just on a mail list based on my revenue, size of my company, my role, all this other crap, right? That means nothing. But were you able to do your research and your personalization with me? Then you know that this is relevant to me right now because you paid attention to my social profiles, what I've been talking about lately, where my head has been going, what my struggles have been with my network of friends. And then you're coming in with that strong email that says, hey, like a couple of people put out in their framework, right? And a couple of thought leaders talk about is, hey, I saw your post on LinkedIn about such and such. I agree with you, but I have something that can help you. That's relevancy because they're talking about it and you're capitalizing on that spare moment that you have to get their attention, and they're going to like it because you took your time to read it. You saw my comment, you're putting it back to me, and you're being relevant with your offering. That's how you win the war on a prospect, and that's how it feels to be prospected is. Yeah. I feel half the time, 80% of the time that I'm being prospected, they have no idea what I'm focused on. They're just throwing shit at the walls, hoping I respond to the email, and that's all great, but none of it's relevant. So you want engagement in your cadence, you want reactions and responses, then be relevant.
So in that case, let's take the flip side. So why is it that prospects, people, humans, why are people so reticent to respond to a cold sales email or a cold call? It's because so many people spent their entire careers sending out batch and blast emails, smiling and dialing, not even knowing who the prospect is that you're talking to before calling them, not planning out what you're doing. And so what they get is this same old tired message that they've seen on a LinkedIn post from some thought leader, do these 3 things and create your email in this way. And suddenly everybody out there is doing the exact same thing. So your inbox just looks like the same. Quick question. Everybody's using the blue circles. So what that means as a prospect, it says that you don't care about me. You don't care about what I'm doing. You don't know what I'm doing. And how are you going to help me if you wouldn't even put in the 2-second effort it takes to literally look at my LinkedIn profile? Like, I have people almost daily send me notes that saying how they can automate my outbound prospecting. They don't have any freaking clue, even though it says in my tagline, I'm a sales sequence optimizer, okay? In my freaking tagline that you can see when you look at my name, it takes literally a split second to do this. All they need to do is look at that and go, sales sequence. This guy might know something about outbound prospecting. He might know something about how to automate things when he's talking about sales sequences using Outreach and SalesLoft and all those tools. Like, it doesn't take a genius to do this, and anybody who's in sales should know this. You look at those words, sales sequence, in somebody's tagline. You do not try to sell them on a nurture program or a sequence. Okay. And
What? Okay, so for our listeners and our members, right? What about, how do you be relevant when you don't have access? Okay, right? Everybody talks about using LinkedIn, leveraging all this social stuff, right? But I know, and you know, people that don't live in that realm, right? You go to their profile and there's nothing on them. Okay, there's not. You can't see anything. Nope. They got a profile, it says they're VP of marketing or whatever their role is, but they have no digital footprint. What do you think is a way to capture somebody's attention practically, right, in one line, that may not, how do you be relevant when you can't find out what they're actually dealing with today? How do you engage that, or how do you find that through a phone call or an email?
So here's a really quick tip that anybody can do with whatever tools that you have. If you're selling a solution that solves problems for a specific type of person, so like a specific persona, a role, or anything like that, you know tons of things about that person because of your interactions with them. You know questions they ask, you know answers that you've given them, you know all of these different things, right? So what you can do is actually create a one-line, hyper relevant sentence to challenges you know they're facing, because you know that audience. When you walk through a conference, when you read trade publications, when you look at any type of thing out there, it doesn't matter. There's information on what these prospects care about in your realm, and you're able to actually do something that's relevant to them, whether they have social media or anything published at all, or they're just a hyper closed book with a job title. You should be able to know at least something. Absolutely. Does that make sense?
100%, man. I think it's great, right? Is if you can't find that relevant or that personalization directly to them, you can to the role, and understanding those challenges. And again, just get relevant thinking. Have a 1 to 2 liner that gets them thinking and envisioning how they can solve this problem that most all of them in that role are currently trying to solve in the market, and adapt your messaging that way. I love it.
Absolutely. So just to kind of wrap up our thoughts around this is, when you are going out there and you're prospecting and you're creating those emails, those cold call scripts or cold call formulas or plans, and you're planning your outreach, try to put yourself in the prospect's shoes. Try to think, what would I want to get? How does this feel when I'm getting this call? How does this feel when I'm reading this message? And put together a plan for captivating or maximizing that feeling, and making sure that's a good feeling, that it's a productive feeling, and that they actually want to do something. And with that said, if you do that, this is a tried and true process. By thinking through the mind of your customer, you're going to be providing consistent value every single time, every call, every touch, and you're going to tell them things that can help them progress in their day. And it won't be all about that, as I said, smile and dial, batch and blast, spray and pray approach to prospecting that your prospects absolutely don't like.
As your sequence and your outreach is a story to your prospect, and focus your mindset on what you can do for them, not what they can do for you.
Exactly. Right on. That's it for today. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Fill the Funnel podcast. If you like what you heard, be sure to hit subscribe on your favorite platform, give us reviews, and tell all your friends about us. Till next time, happy hunting.